Did you ever have a game you played as a kid that you thought was fun, but you knew that in actuality it was a pretty bad game? For me, I had a lot of decent licensed games based on cartoons I watched. Games like SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom, Fairly Odd Parents, Breaking the Rules, The Simpsons, Hit and Run. These games had really long titles for no reason whatsoever. I found a ton of enjoyment from these games, but I will wholeheartedly admit that they're products of their time. They exist for one reason and one reason alone: to make money. Whenever you see a game that looks like this, or this, you know it's there so that the original creators can get you to spend your hard-earned cash on a mediocre game based on a popular media franchise. I mean, look at the Fairly Odd Parents example I gave. I thought this game was a ton of fun as a kid, but even I admit it's a piece of hot garbage. The gameplay is slow and clunky, the animations are lackluster at best, and the voice acting makes it seem like they recorded this entire game in a toaster oven.
Trouble in Timmy's dreams! Now we're spinning around in Trouble in Timmy's dreams! Whee! This is serious business now!
What kind of mixing is that?! So, I definitely agree that these games are simply just rush jobs and have no merit being played in 2019. But I still managed to find some excitement in these shitty games. And one of my favorite games of this genre was Bakugan for the Nintendo Wii. This game, despite being considered garbage, is easily one of the greatest adaptations of an original board game in anime. Released in the US on October 29, 2009, the Bakugan Battle Brawlers video game was released for the Nintendo DS, Nintendo Wii, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and the Xbox 360. While each version differs in terms of content and gameplay, the story is more or less consistent throughout each game, telling the tale of how your custom character becomes the best battle brawler of all time. It's a basic game with a basic plot, but a lot of depth. Or I guess about as much depth as a 10-year-old shovelware Wii game can get you. Also, I feel like this was the perfect time to bring this up, what with the revival of Bakugan quite recently. But anyways, with all that out of the way, I'm Azrak Shinji, and this is Too Much Effort, the show where I take games you've never heard of and go way too in-depth into them. It's unnecessary, it's time-consuming, and, well, it's way too much effort. I'll be covering this game and all future games I review in a similar fashion. I'll start with the story, move on to gameplay, then to presentation, cover any extra content that needs covering, and give my overall thoughts on the game throughout. Each part will consist of a score of 1 out of 5, and I'll provide an average score at the end for an overall consensus. Please note that this is my personal opinion of the game. Feel free to give your opinions in the comments below and I'll happily read them. Now then, let's talk about Bakugan for the Wii. The game starts with you, the player, being called out by Shuji and Akira for apparently making fun of their skills at Bakugan. Then, just before they proceed to battle, Dan Kuzo of the Battle Brawlers shows up and offers to show you the ropes. After taking down Shuji, you go to the local store and meet Alice, who suggests that you should battle with other brawlers in the park to earn BP. As you lament about not having a partner, a strange Bakugan called Leonidas mysteriously appears in the park, and you offer for him to be your partner, to which he accepts at the prospect of fighting other Bakugan and bringing them to their knees. He's not evil, guys. I swear, he's fine. The player must then take part in several tournaments, battling against a slew of characters from the original series and earning their trust. The game is split up into 6 different tournaments: Neo Challengers, Supreme Tag Team, Brave Battlers, Maximum Power, Bakugan Master Cup, and the Ultimate Battle Tournament. Sunday! Watch as the Ultimate Bakugan Battle unfolds! 12-year-olds taking control of cosmic, interdimensional monsters to save the world! Tickets are only $10 a seat, but you only need the age. Whoa. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, you are also stopped at certain points in the story by a new character by the name of Murdoch, who, along with a new Bakugan named Gladiator, plan to take over the world and control all Bakugan, and reveal that Leonidas is a Bakugan created by all the hate and anger of the lost Bakugan trapped in the Doom Dimension. At the beginning of the game, Naga attains the Silent Core, and the seals that held Vladitor captive in the Doom Dimension suddenly broke, allowing him to escape. At the end of the 5th tournament, Dan makes you an official Bakugan battle brawler, and you are challenged by Marta, who is revealed to have allied with Hal G, Masquerade, and Naga in order to defeat the battle brawlers and rule over the worlds in the Bakugan. In order to stop them, you must win the Ultimate Battle Tournament by defeating all of the battle brawlers along with Masquerade and Marta. In a rage, Vladitor forcibly absorbs the Silent Core and evolves, transforming the arena into the Doom Dimension and weakening all of their Bakugan, except for Leonidas. With the help of the other battle brawlers, or as I like to call them, Leonidas evolves and the final battle between Battle Axe Vladitor and Omega Leonidas takes place. The player wins, and both Vladitor and Leonidas disappear, the battle having fully drained them of their powers. As they fade, they give their final goodbyes to their partners. After returning to Earth, the player then laments the loss of his partner, when all of a sudden, he returns! He explains that Vladitor relinquished the last of his power in order for him to return to Earth. Well, that was convenient. With their bond rekindled, the game ends with the player throwing Leonidas into the air and shouting, "Bakugan, Brawl!" Oh god, it's so cringy. Now, for someone who hasn't watched the cartoon all that much, the story does a decent job of introducing the characters and keeping the player engaged enough to keep playing. Is it a perfect story? Not at all. But for kids, it's a story they can get behind because it involves their fan character becoming the greatest brawler of all time. There may be some plot holes and cheesy dialogue.
What's with him? He seems like a big meanie. Wow!
But the ride is fun enough to warrant at least one playthrough. I give the story a 3 out of 5. This game is easily the best way to play the original game if you've never owned any of the toys or cards. The rules go as follows. The playfield contains gate cards placed down by each player. To win, a player must win 3 gate cards before any of their opponents. Now, instead of your Yu-Gi-Ohs and your Pokemons and your Beyblades, this game focuses on spherical monsters called, you guessed it, Bakugan. Each player has 3 gate cards to set, 3 Bakugan that they can use in order to win gate cards, and 3 ability cards to use in battle. There are a ton of different monsters that the player can utilize, whether you prefer a certain type of monster or want to focus on a specific attribute. All Bakugan fall within 6 different attributes: Pyrus, Aquas, Subterra, Ventus, Chaos, and Darkness. And each attribute has advantages and disadvantages against others. There's a huge variety of designs for Bakugan, from giant animals to dragons and griffins to even robots and knights. Each Bakugan has their own set of stats and their own G-power, which is a measurement of their overall strength, and can be increased by different means that I'll go over. The shop contains all of the Bakugan and cards you will need to increase your inventory and broaden your gameplay style. Every Bakugan can be upgraded in the in-game shop, and have a number of different attributes to increase: speed, defense, acceleration, endurance, jump, and G-power. Each Bakugan can be upgraded up to level 10 and give the user special benefits. There are multiple gameplay modes to take part in: singles, one-on-one battles against a single opponent; tag teams, 2-on-2 battles; and battle royales, 4-player free-for-alls. Side note, battle royales are easily the most annoying to go through in the story. Jesus Christ, what the fuck, Marucho! These modes can be played at either the tournament arena or at the park against characters of your choosing. In addition to the tournament arena, park, and Bakugan store, there is also My Room, where you can personalize your avatar further from what you started with different cosmetics, look at your collection of Bakugan and cards, get tips from the battle brawlers, and look at your in-game stats. For what it offers, I feel that this game achieves the perfect level of customization, allowing for a myriad of different combinations, while also limiting it to the style of the show. The only downside is that the player has to be male and has the same voice with every character you make. Still, a fully voiced custom character is a rather cool concept that I feel hasn't been explored enough. I'm looking at you, Xenoverse 2! It's also nice to look at your stats and see just how good you are at the game. I mean, look at that 100% win percentage. Literally undefeated. The 3 gate cards you need to win can be obtained in 3 different methods: either through winning battles against other players' Bakugan, landing 2 of your own Bakugan on the same gate card, or through a third, slightly more confusing method of having 3 Bakugan on the field at a time, and having one successfully stay on the gate card they currently reside on for a full turn cycle. Okay, I feel that the only way I can realistically describe the gameplay is to put it into 2 categories. A strategy game and a platformer.
What?
I know, that seems rather confusing, but hear me out as I explain how each turn plays out. You start with the option of placing your gate card or immediately decide where you wish to throw. Once that location is decided, you then select the Bakugan you wish to use that turn. Following that, you throw your Bakugan. Now, this differs between each version, with the HD ports utilizing a power meter and the Wii utilizing the Wii Remote's motion capabilities. You can use a normal throw, which is used for a quick landing onto a gate card, a power shot, used for farther travel or for spear attacks, and any one of 6 special shots earned when a Bakugan is upgraded to level 5. Depending on the attribute of the Bakugan, these can range from increased spear attack damage, unlimited stamina, or even gradually increasing your G power. In the Wii version, the strength of your shot is entirely dependent on how hard the Wii Remote is swung. Once you've thrown your Bakugan, you then have to navigate it throughout the arena to land onto any of the gate cards on the field. With some arenas, it's rather straightforward, simply throwing toward the card you choose and using the steer function to fix yourself should you throw slightly off and need to adjust. But for most of the arenas, there are a ton of factors to take into account. Every arena has a unique method of traversing the area and getting items to use in-game. G-Power tokens will increase your base G-Power depending on the token, with silver giving you 10 points and gold giving you 50. Batteries will refill your steer meter, and hyper ability cards will either affect your Bakugan or your opponents in certain ways, from giving your Bakugan a damaging field of electricity, to reversing your opponent's steer controls, to giving them acid trips.
Where's my hands?
There are also floating crystals that will give you a battle item that can be used to give you an advantage in battle. There are 8 arenas to commence battle, and while 2 are neutral battlefields, the other 6 are based around their respective attribute. They all have their own secret paths and item layouts, in addition to giving Bakugan of that attribute a field advantage and giving a Bakugan of the opposite attribute a disadvantage. For example, if your Bakugan is of the Aquos attribute and you're in the Pyrus arena, your G-Power increase during the battle will be significantly lower. But what happens when an opponent throws their Bakugan? Well, assuming you don't skip their throw, you can use the pointer function on the Wii to shoot at their Bakugan so that it throws them off their intended route. This is used so that they either move to where you need them, or so you can just, be a dick while you play. I don't judge. Depending on whether or not a Bakugan is on the gate card you land on, a few things may happen. If it's vacant, the game simply moves to the next play. If another one of your Bakugan is present, you'll either win the gate card or get the option to move the Bakugan you just threw to a card adjacent to the one you landed on. If your teammate's Bakugan is present, you will receive a miss and have your Bakugan given back to you. And if an opponent's Bakugan is present, a battle will commence. The battles in this game are where the strategy comes into play. Once the Bakugan are summoned out of their spherical forms, the gate card is flipped and dictates the type of battle, each attribute's G-Power increase, and any special conditions depending on the gate card. Gold gate cards give bonus G-Power boosts to the specific Bakugan shown. Copper gate cards give special instructions such as bonus G-Power increase for a specific attribute or an elimination of certain factors. And silver gate cards are normal gate cards that only give the printed G-Power boost. Once the boost is given and any special conditions set, the game then moves to the ability card activation screen, where you can, of course, activate your ability cards and give yourself a last-minute advantage in battle. Red ability cards will give a G-Power boost to a specific attribute of Bakugan. Green will give a G-Power boost and a special move to a specific Bakugan. And blue will do a number of things, from giving a simple G-Power boost to changing the type of battle that will take place. Once all ability card preparations are made, a battle will commence depending on the gate card or the ability card activated. Gold will commence a shooting battle, which involves targeting your Bakugan's attribute symbol and shooting it to gain G-Power. Silver will commence a timing battle involving pressing a button at the correct time. And Copper will commence a shaking battle that involves shaking the Wii Remote in order to gain G-Power. Yeah, it's totally not dirty, guys. Depending on how far in the game you receive the card, the battle will be a certain level of difficulty and introduce more battle-changing factors. In the timing and shooting battles, the game will reward bonus G-Power boosts to increase G-Power even further. In addition, the battle items mentioned previously can heavily affect a battle for either player, from a G-Power booster to a time stopper. These battles are relatively short, so an advantage is vital to change the course of battle. Once it's complete, the Bakugan with the higher G-Power wins, giving that player the gate card. Then, rinse and repeat until a player wins 3 gate cards. The gameplay is more or less the same throughout the entire game, including the multiplayer mode, where you and up to 3 friends can choose from any of the 16 characters or any of the 4 custom characters and battle it out. Just don't play on easy mode because the gate and ability cards in that mode can't be chosen by the player. They're chosen at random by the computer. Okay, I'm sure there was a lot to take in, but the in-game tutorials do an exceptional job explaining the rules and gameplay. The game itself is a ton of fun to play despite some shortcomings. Now, while this system of navigation is fine for the most part, there are many flaws in its design. With the Wii version, the steering can be rather shoddy at times since it requires turning the Wii remote, and the physics can mess up rather easily, resulting in your turn ending without landing a Bakugan. But, for the most part, if you know what you're doing, you can land your Bakugan rather easily. The battle system feels engaging, balanced, and fair, requiring a good level of wit without being too focused on luck. Overall, I give the gameplay a 4 out of 5. Whether you're a longtime fan of Bakugan or you're just getting introduced to the world, I can say that this game fully encapsulates the essence of being a Bakugan video game. Each character model is meticulously crafted to look as though they were ripped straight from the anime, and they all have animations that work for their character, for the most part. They all seem to have rather flashy poses and moves for their battle introductions, throwing animations, and even their gate card animations. I mean, look at this.
Are you scared?
You don't need to be that flashy. The faces can also be rather static, having only around 3 different emotions. But overall, the animations work for both battles and cutscenes. In addition, the overall scenery of the arenas is truly top-notch, showing diverse and beautiful areas for battles. The graphics, animations, and overall presentations of the Wii version don't differ too much from the HD versions, the only difference being an increase in lighting effects and motion blur for the animations. But overall, a pleasant-looking game to say the least. The voice acting is pretty top-notch as well, with the original Bakugan cast returning and doing an exceptional job bringing the story to life. Some of the dialogue may sound a bit off, but do keep in mind that this is a children's tabletop video game made in 2009. Cut it some slack. The only thing I consider truly odd about the choice in voice actors would have to be Marduk's voice. The main rival is played by Dan Petronjevic. I am so sorry if I butchered your name. Who is a rather obscure voice actor that is only really known for his role as Jeff in the animated reality show Total Drama.
Totally perfecto.
Now, there is another voice actress from Total Drama, the voice of Gwen, Megan Fallenbach, again, these fucking names, who plays Jules in the game, despite playing Jenny in the anime. It's kind of odd, but not too jarring. However, in Marduk's case, I feel like his performance leaks a bit too much of Jeff, so it kind of lessens his impact on the game's story.
But we were supposed to rule all Bakugan. Vladitor, wait!
Oh, shut it, you whiny little baby! Nevertheless, the voice actors are average to above average in most aspects, and show exceptional work in portraying the characters they play. Now the music. Oh boy, the music in this game. I can say without a doubt that this is easily one of my favorite video game soundtracks to date. This is on the same level as the Undertale and Sonic Unleashed soundtracks. I am dead serious. Each track does a fantastic job portraying a certain area or situation, and all of the tracks are original. But don't just take it from me. Take a listen at how fantastic this soundtrack is. I'm stuttering because it's so fucking good. chills every time I listen. The sound design isn't too terrible either, with only a few minor hiccups here and there. God, this minigame is unbearable. Please make it end! Huh. The voices aren't overpowered by the music, the sound effects aren't too annoying, most of the time, and all of the voices, music, and sound effects can easily be managed in the options menu. Speaking of which, the UI and menus. Once again, a feature that makes the game feel like Bakugan. Each of the menus feel intuitive and unique to the game and world. I feel as though future games messed up in this regard, having UI that felt way too generic. But thankfully, the original prevails. It is rather jarring to see the characters using cards in Bakugan that are designed to look like the real-world counterparts rather than the designs they used in the show. However, it's a small nitpick that can easily be ignored. Overall, this game presents itself rather well, from its voice acting and animations to the amazing music and intuitive UI. I give the presentation a 3.5 out of 5. This game is dear to my heart, and I wish more people would play it. It may not be for everyone, but if you're a big fan of the Bakugan series, or you just wanted to play a strategy game with some friends, this game is a hell of a good time. It has its shortcomings and isn't my favorite game in the world, but I'd be damned if I didn't admit that it was a pretty good game. With its simple yet intriguing story, above average gameplay, and a wonderful presentation, I give Bakugan for the Wii my personal score of 3.5 out of 5. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Now, you may be asking yourself, Azrak, what the heck? Where have you been? Easy, comrade. Let me explain. To put it simply, I just wasn't inspired to do anything with this channel. I had no real concrete ideas of what I wanted to do, but I've always been so fascinated with gaming review channels like Ant Dude, Scott the Waz, and Relax-A-Lax. And even recently, people like Super Butterbuns and Diamond Bolt really inspired me to get into this. I have some ideas of other games that I'd like to review in the future, but I'd be more than happy to hear your suggestions or your opinions in the comments below. Also, be sure to share the video, as it helps out a ton, and make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I make a new video. I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Umbrihearts for creating these stills for my videos. I mean, look at my new channel header! That shit's magic, man! Thank you again, Umbrihearts, for taking the time to make these for me. Her social media links will be in the description and the about page of my channel. I hope you enjoyed, and remember that this is only the beginning. I'm Azrak Shinji, and I'll see you all in the next video.